go, big guy, let's go.
It's a blessing. I mean, it's a gift from God. There's no question about it. It was a solution that could not possibly have been satisfied better than what's happened here.
There you go. I want to see you motor.
Well, we got two old people taking care of a severely handicapped person with no future plans to Dan living in a place like Cedar Lake Lodge. It's unbelievable for the rest of his life. There was no sign of any problem when he was young. He began to have milestones that Mary knew very well because we had two previous children that he wasn't making. He didn't stand at the right time. He never has talked. He's never said a word in his life.
Growing up, I sort of had this role model scenario where, you just kind of power through things. And, my parents are both major bulldogs when it comes to my brother. And, they just do what needs to be done kind of people. And so they just kind of powered through it. And I'm like, well, you can only power through so far. And eventually you are going to run out of gas.
Our problem was not him. Our problem was us. We were the ones getting old and unable to care for him. And that's when our concern came in.
From my perspective, I was always concerned about sort of what our options were. One of the experiences that I had that was very impactful was my mother was diagnosed with cancer, and that means she has to take care of herself. Well, my mom's never really taken care of herself. She's taking care of Dan. And so I thought, if I don't have options for Dan, then she can't deal with her cancer. For me, when I got that call, it was just like so overwhelming. I'm impressed how well you can move around. Oh, here we go. The only person that mattered was him. It was just one of the most compassionate, every detail was thought of.
Let's go for a walk and then I'll give it back to you, okay?
I was blown out of the water. I mean, no one spoke to me because they spoke to Dan.
Just finding that happy balance.
Right. As a family member, it is the most amazing experience to have your loved one who does not speak and knows nothing, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
But they treated him as if he was making all the decisions and he was answering all the questions, and it was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen.
Gosh, Dan, that's awesome. He's really walking well.
Yeah.
It was such a blessing for us in the midst of my mother's health crisis to know that, that piece was just not a worry anymore.
Good job, Dan.
Gosh, Dan.
Fantastic.
What's important to me is the love he
That's great. Man, you were awesome.
Good job, Dan.
Medicaid is an incredibly complex entity. I don't have to tell anybody at Cedar Lake this. They know this a lot better than I do. But there's 1,000 forms and 1,000 rules. But one of the rules that doesn't exist is that the provider has to love the people they serve. And Cedar Lake has written on every piece of paper they got, unconditional love for the people they serve. And to a parent like me, giving my son to somebody for the rest of his life, that's the number one thing. I mean, I want to keep him clean and I want him fed, I want all that, but number one, I want him loved. And they do that.